I'm Haley from Gallifrey Public Radio, a Doctor Who fandom podcast and part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Stand by for a brand new episode of All Things Good and Nerdy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 408 of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. This is recorded live on Sunday, June 28th, 2020. For some reason, I almost said September. I'm thinking that's wishful thinking. I don't know. It could be that I am just completely losing track of time because I have no idea what time or place it is anymore. But welcome to the show. I'm Chris. Joining me, as per usual, one of my co-hosts, Mr. Anthony Bachman.
Welcome to Febtembuary, the 12th of never. We don't know what fucking day it is.
He's not wrong. And then, joining us, one, Willie D. Nelson. I like boobs. Thanks, Willie. We appreciate
he ain't wrong.
Knowing that knowledge that you like boobs. You know, it is a Willie thing to say, just not as eloquent as he would put it. You guys might notice if you're watching live that Willie has no video feed in here. It's just a static image. We're still calling him on Skype, but we're not sure where he is or his availability today. So in the interim, if we have Willie Nelson feedback, you'll see one of two pictures on screen. Either him talking to the mic or a quote of him about his childhood.
I was an ugly fucking child.
We just have to keep Willie in the show even when he's not here. That's how I look at it.
He may have had another late night of a DVD. I think he was still on when I was watching my last movie before I went to bed, so lots of stuff to be doing on DVD right now. It's the 4th anniversary event, so he could have been out chasing crowns.
That is true. Looking in the chat room, though, we do record this live every Sunday. We see that the one and only Draftsman has joined us in the chat room. Started off things by going, you ever notice that it is... Excuse me, I can't read today. You ever notice that how it is, for example, there was a show in England called Rules of the Schoolyard, a show where a bunch of comedians and writers talked about their childhood. A show about childhood clearly not for children. For example, this show is hosted and viewed by immature people, which means it's for mature audiences only. Yeah, you've got us summed up pretty well there, Draftsman.
You're fucking right.
Summed up pretty well. Willie, what do you think about that? Do you agree with what Draftsman said here? I like boobs. Thanks, Willie. We really needed that feedback today.
Ain't nothing wrong with boobs, though.
Willie, why is it you like boobs so much?
This guy's creepy.
Well, that's not wrong.
That's not wrong either.
I guess we could just try and do things with bumps just of Willie Nelson, but I don't think I have enough programmed on here to make it seem like he's actually here.
You don't have enough Willie bumps to do a digital Willie the way you do digital Nocky?
I have a few, but some of these you guys don't want me to run.
I was going to say, you have plenty, but they're not all...
Yeah.
Some of them are too Willie.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. He might hop on. I continue to hit the recall button on Skype as we progress here. Presumably, he just overslept because he played too many video games. Let's hope that that's all of the problem is for Willie, and he's not in a ditch somewhere being like, I have to call the show, and can't make it in on his last 5% of his battery, and he dies in the ditch.
He's laying in a ditch somewhere going, where did I put my cigarettes?
Yeah,
he's not worried about the show.
You're not wrong at all. Normally this is a 3-person show, though. Sometimes we have guests, though we haven't had one in a while just because the way things line up. I'm sure we'll have some again in the future.
That's true. It's funny. How do we not have guests lately when everybody's at home?
Because everyone's depressed, and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern is really not a good time to overcome depression to come on a podcast.
It'd be Sunday at 9 a.m. It's hard to get my depressed ass out of bed. I'd much rather still be asleep right now.
I mean, I might go back to sleep after the show was done. I might make my lunch, which is reheat some pizza, eat said pizza, then go, I'm going back to bed, and then sleep until God knows when, because what else am I going to do? I can't go do anything.
I'll be talking about a bunch of movies later that popped up on Amazon Prime, because I watched one because I went to go watch another one I saw an advertisement for, and it just brought me into a big old pile of movies. So yeah, I might just go curl up in my chair with some leftover pizza and just spend the day fucking snoozing and watching movies.
I got leftover chicken wings too, so I can have chicken wings and pizza.
Oh shit!
This is gonna be a good lunch. Not healthy good lunch, just good lunch. Because it's my
Chicken's protein. It's good enough.
It's my Detroit style pizza with pepperoni, mushrooms, onions, green peppers, and sausage. It's gonna be delicious.
That's what we call COVID healthy. It's fucking good enough.
I'm packing on those energy reserves so that when the grocery store shut down, I got some fat to live off of.
I think I got enough of that.
By some, I mean a lot.
It's really the new virtual Princess Leia. No, because this one looks more realistic than the one they used in that movie.
That's true. Willie, how do you feel about being called the new virtual Princess Leia?
Willie's creepy, and you know it.
There you go.
I mean,
That works.
the Princess Leia virtual one was a little creepy, so works for me, Willie. Works for me. We're going to have a lot of fun with that today until I run out of bumps, which is like 3 button pushes from now.
Oh no, does that mean we have to hear about his taint again?
I mean, I've got that. I've got some other stuff in here. Don't worry. I could probably dig some out, but I'm really lazy.
That's true. There's nothing wrong with lazy. It's a good time for lazy.
I mean, there's something to be said for it. You know what else there's something to be said for? Not taking my bait. Man. Not taking my bait. It's the news of the week.
Live from the ATGN studios on the internet, it's the news of the week.
Welcome to the news of the week. It's that part of the show where we run down what is in our minds. It's the most interesting, geeky, and or nerdy news to have popped up here in the past week. Since Willie's not with us yet, I have 2 news stories, so I'll lead with one of them because it's actually kind of a small story, but it entertained me for some reason. And let me get the tab over to the right side of my computer so that I can actually read it. And here we go. So you guys do know that the Wii U and the Wii, those systems have been sunsetted for quite a while. Nintendo's current system, it's the Nintendo Switch. It makes them a lot of money. You can't actually buy one right now because everyone is trying to buy a Nintendo Switch while they're stuck in their houses because they want to play video games, and not necessarily a bad idea. Why do I mention that? Well, there's still games coming out for other Nintendo consoles than the Switch. And I don't mean the DS or the 3DS or anything like that.
There are other Nintendo consoles?
There are, but they have been sunsetted and are no longer used. It was announced, and I saw a cool article on Polygon, that the Wii and the Wii U will still be getting new games in 2020. The Nintendo Wii, that became a big deal in 2007, 2008? That's when it came out and everyone was all about it.
So yeah. God damn, that came out when I was going to college and teaching martial arts at a dojo. That was 4 lifetimes ago.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the stuff that's been coming out on the Wii has been the Just Dance games, because a lot of people have bought Wiis for cheap, mostly to play Just Dance and other motion games like that. So my wife has a Wii in in one of our spare bedrooms upstairs that is her Just Dance room. And they put out Just Dance 2020, I believe, for the Wii, the Switch, and it might have been the Wii U also. But it was hard to find. But this is not a Just Dance game that is coming. I've never heard of this game, needless to say. But Shakedown Hawaii is coming in 2020 to the Wii and the Wii U. This is a sequel to Retro City Rampage. Yeah, and there is a catch they're saying here. Shakedown Hawaii will be released on the Wii on July 9th with a limited run of 3,000 physical copies. The Wii port will be limited to PAL territories. Nintendo of Europe is apparently still manufacturing Wii discs, but North American Wii owners are out of luck because Wii games are not region-free. That said, if you're a collector, you're probably still going to want a copy. And oh yeah, you can't buy a digital copy of it because the Wii Shop channel closed in 2019. So you've got to have a European Nintendo Wii to be able to do it.
Yeah, I just looked on Amazon and literally there's only 2 versions available, and they're both the $600 versions.
They're trying to gouge the collectors.
Package deals, yeah, and price gouging. It's ridiculous.
Well, there are some collectors though. They're gonna make, oh my god, I have to have this to complete my collection. They did say, the developer and the studio V Blank Entertainment said that North American players will be able to get the Wii U version of Shakedown Hawaii in August. So they gave some technical details on the developer's website saying, quote, the Wii version supports both 50 Hz and 60 Hz, both NTSC and PAL outputs. It supports the Wii Remote with Shake, Wii Classic Controller, Wii Classic Controller Pro, and the GameCube controller. The Wii U version supports both SD and HD, 4:3 and 16:9 ratios. You can play it with the Wii U gamepad, the Wii U Pro controller, the Wii Remote, the Wii Classic controller, or the Wii Classic Controller Pro. Boy, their naming sucks too. It can be played entirely on the gamepad with touch or on the TV from the comfort of your couch. So if you want the Wii version of Shakedown Hawaii, I'm told here in this article, it will go on sale Thursday, July 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and cost $30. The Wii U version will follow in August. That same Wii U version will also be released on Steam, so you can play it on a PC game. That just made me... I was strangely entertained by the fact of these are two dead consoles, and there's new games coming out for them. Like, I know there's hobbyists that are putting stuff out. Like, we still get new Dreamcast games from time to time and stuff like that, but damn.
And shit like that's weird. And all I can hear in my head is Bob Seger lyrics, so thank you for that.
I mean, I don't know who's the target audience here for a brand new game on the Wii and the Wii U. I mean, I can't imagine they're expecting... I mean, what they said, physical copies 3,000 of the Wii version of the game, so they're obviously not expecting to sell a ton other than they're probably just collectors.
I mean, yeah, if they're only making 3,000, like, that's such a limited market.
The Wii U version will have more, probably.
Yeah, it's got to be targeted just at collectors. Because, yeah, I mean, that's... If you're only making 3,000 copies of something, you're not aiming it at the families that are staying at home during the coronavirus. You're just aiming at, like, a very tiny marketplace.
Well, and I'm also kind of curious as to... there's no real good way to get this metric. How many people are still running a Wii... So let's say 1 to 3 days a week they fire up their Wii and play something. I'm curious how many people there actually are. I'm sure there are folks are. Like my wife, for instance, plays Just Dance on her Wii because she prefers the controller setup for it. We didn't ever bought a Wii U, so couldn't do it there. But
well, and the motion controllers on the Wii work great. I mean, they work fantastic. And they ended up putting Netflix on the Wii, didn't they?
They did, but I don't think it's supported anymore. And at one point, you had to have a disc to boot Netflix. I think they got rid of that. But yeah, there was a Netflix boot disc, if I recall correctly.
Yikes. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like a lot of people, when they stopped using their... What was it? Was it the PlayStation 2 was the world's cheapest DVD player?
Yeah, I think so. And then the PS3 was the cheapest Blu-ray player when it first came out.
Yeah. But like, there was a long time where I still had a PS2 in my garage that I used like for workout discs. Like I had like, different types of yoga and different types of like HIIT training that I had on DVD, and I'd still use my old PlayStation hooked into a 13-inch TV up until, probably like 2004, 2005, because it was still a DVD player.
Right.
So, I mean, there might be people that like they're still just using their Wii just for that. Like, who knows?
Well, the Wii never played DVDs, so really you're limited to just...
Well, it didn't even do DVDs?
I don't think it played DVDs. It just played GameCube and Wii games. So you could play a GameCube game, and it's backwards compatible to GameCube stuff, so I could see a use there. But I still have my GameCube I bought like secondhand in 2002, 2000... No, it was probably more like 2005 as I'm thinking about it. And that thing runs like a champ 15 years after I bought it at a secondhand store.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that was the one cool thing about, especially like the old cartridge systems. Like, it's funny now because everybody goes and like, oh, let's get the upgraded HDMI mini Nintendo system or the mini this system, mini that system. All of that is taking money out of pawn shops because we used to fucking like, when I was in the Navy, we'd go on PAC for 6 months and come back, and like one of the guys would be all nostalgic about old video games. We'd go to a pawn shop and we'd pick up a Nintendo, just an old school Nintendo, and like 50 games for $100. And then you'd go spend a weekend playing just old school Nintendo games, because old cartridge games, they don't die. Like, they still work just fine.
They do and they don't. If the battery dies inside, then you've effectively lost the ability to save a game and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, we weren't doing like Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing, like Excite Bike and Duck Hunt. Yeah. Doing shit that just, you pop the cartridge in and it still works.
I mean, but
like,
here's
some of that stuff, it runs forever.
Here's the problem with that nowadays, though, is you go and look at most of these TVs, and you don't have the ability to take an old NES system and make it play on your flat screen TV. That's why you're seeing a lot of these folks, since patents have already passed and stuff like that, that are releasing like their version of the NES that basically runs the cartridge and then spits out via component cables or via HDMI cable. Because a lot of cases, especially for a collector, if you want to be able to play, you have to have a separate TV for your older consoles. Like, no joke. Like one of the YouTube channels I've talked about.
Some of us still have a 27-inch CRT TV.
Right? I mean, I've talked about one of the YouTube channels I like on this show is Metal Jesus Rocks, who's a video game collector in the Seattle area who buys games for all the different consoles and stuff. And like when you go through his game room, he has a separate TV for his older systems. And if he wants to play those games on a newer screen or to do video capture through HDMI, he then has those newer, not knockoff consoles, but third-party consoles or whatever that'll put a signal out via HDMI, because that's kind of what you have to do to make it happen anymore. And it's an interesting conversation with preservationists. And like he bought one of those old Nintendo GameCube, like remember the display units they used to have in like Walmart and stuff like that, with like the GameCube in a bubble and like
case.
The CRT TV that was like hanging down below in front of you. It had everything in it but the TV. He goes, I tried to buy a replacement TV and those prices were insane or something to that effect.
Oh yeah.
Because the secondary market on those now is ridiculous. So like he was talking about just getting some cable adapters and putting like a LCD monitor up there to be able to do his GameCube stuff. He's like, it's not going to be authentic to what it was. He goes, but at least it's affordable.
See, it's funny because I thought about this for VHS tapes because I have a fuck ton of VHS tapes. Like I'm a movie collector. So I've got somewhere like between 300 and 400 movies on VHS tape. Like it's ridiculous. It's a giant collection. And a bunch of them are old movies that I haven't rebought, like old horror films that I haven't rebought on Blu-ray or DVD. So some of the movies I have, if I want to watch them, the only way I can watch them is on VHS. But I foresaw the future where all the VHS players were going to go away. So I bought 3 VHS DVD combo players at Walmart when they were like $20 each. And I'm using one, and I still have 2 in the box.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going and paying fucking $400 for one on Amazon right now because I want to fucking watch a VHS tape because motherfuckers are crazy and want a price gouge. You got to be ahead of and behind the software and hardware all at the same time.
Well, some of that stuff you might be better off just starting to take those VHS tapes and make digital rips of them and then keep copies of those because tape will degrade eventually.
Yeah, I'm too lazy. Honestly, though, I found out it takes a lot of watches to burn through a VHS tape. It takes at least 100.
Sure.
Because I actually do have a box set of tapes where I've burned a hole in all 3 of the movies, and I cannot watch them anymore. The Scream trilogy.
Nice.
I used to pop the Scream tapes in and go to bed when I lived in Bremerton. I had a little 13-inch VHS TV combo. I would pop in one of the Scream films and like set my sleep timer and go to sleep every night while I was in Bremerton. And like we were there for like 6 months, and I would watch one of those movies basically every night as I went to sleep.
Nice. I mean, I know
yeah, it takes like 100 times before you burn a tape through.
I know what my dad had done on a bunch of the old tapes we still had in the family collection was he found one of those DVD VHS combo drives where it was actually a DVD burner. So you could literally push play on the tape and push record on the DVD. And while it was playing, it would burn it onto the DVD. And that's not necessarily efficient because you've literally got to spend, if the movie's 2 hours long, 2 hours burning it. But it was a way that he could get things off those tapes that he wouldn't be able to replace if something happened to it and have it in a digital format. And then you could take that DVD, you could rip it, you could make an MKV or an MP4 movie version of it, stick it on your Plex server or put it in your digital backups, stuff like that.
I should try finding one of those.
I don't know what they go for anymore. There's other things you could probably look at too.
That's the scary thing.
You could also probably look at getting a capture card or whatever and plugging that into your DVD VHS combo and then into the back of your PC and doing something similar.
I think it's one of those things where eventually one of these days I'll just toss all my VHS tapes in the trash, but it's going to be a while. I ain't getting rid of them yet. I got room. It's a 2-bedroom condo. I live here by myself. I got room for the pops. I got room for the VHS tapes.
And he got a lot of pops.
I got a lot of pops, got a lot of comics, got a lot of VHS tapes.
Well, before we transition off this topic, I have to ask Willie, how do you feel about the transition, or rather, we're still getting games on the Wii and the Wii U?
So sensual. Oh, yeah.
I don't know why he feels sensual about it, but I guess Willie just really enjoys his gaming.
He's a strange duck, that one.
I mean, no one's disputing that fact that Willie's an odd dude. We're all a little odd to do this kind of stuff live on the internet, though. Let's be honest.
That's true. Very true.
You're not wrong here. Why don't you take the? Why don't you go next with your news story?
All right, we're gonna do some bad news celebration. Not sure if everybody heard, but you should have. This week we sadly lost Joel Schmacher, who made it to the ripe old age of fucking 80. And if you know anything about his life, it's insane that he lived that long, because apparently dude was just fucking everything. There's talk that he may have like Wilt Chamberlain numbers in the gay community, that he was like nailing thousands of guys. So dude lived through some shit. He was born in New York in August 29th, 1939. Died on June 20th, 2020. Was a film director, screenwriter, producer. Was active in film from the 1970s to 2010s. He became a fashion designer after graduating from Parsons School of Design, and did apparently spent a lot of time suffering from abuse problems. He went into filmmaking as a production and costume designer before gaining writing credits on Car Wash, Sparkle, and The Wiz. The gay white guy from New York wrote The Wiz. Like, how fucking crazy is that? And, I mean, honestly, in the geek world, he's known really for one thing. He killed Batman. We got 2 Tim Burton films in the late 80s, early 90s. And then Joel Schumacher was given the franchise, and he did Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. And basically it was neon and nipples, and a whole bunch of people complained, and they kind of killed off Batman. But, I mean, it's sad that that's what a lot of people remember him for, because Joel Schumacher is an amazing filmmaker. He just did some weird shit when he got in charge of the Batman movies. But, apparently he also still had fun. And it was awesome. I found an article on the Den of Geek. They did the 5 underrated Schumacher movies you need to see. And then the subtitles, he was synonymous with Batman and Robin, but Joel Schumacher's career was so much more than bat nipples and ice puns. I mean, he did give us fucking Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Like, how could he not love that? Let's see here. Goes on. Yeah, and then one of the quotes about when they asked about the distractingly erect rubber appendages, said, maybe I was just naive, but I'm still glad we did it, he later reflected. Because, the guy was still just a filmmaker. Like,
yeah.
He didn't constitute the Batman films as the biggest things or the most important things he ever did. Motherfucker just loved making movies. Let's see, what was it? Yeah, so they talk about the film's 1989 Cousins, where following the success of The Lost Boys, fuck everything else. Joel Schumacher did The Lost Boys. Joel Schumacher did the greatest vampire film of all time. That forgives any Batmans. He can make 17 stupid Batmans. I don't care. He gave us the Frog Brothers. He gave us fucking one of the weirdest Corey Haim dance sequences in a bathtub ever. Like, oh wait, Haim or Feldman? I can't remember which.
One of the Coreys.
One of the Coreys. Yeah, so he did a movie with Schumacher took a surprising detour into comedy with this tale about a budding romance between a pair of cousins who, it should be noted, are related only by marriage, played by Isabella Rossellini and Ted Danson, after a chance meeting at a wedding. So they meet at a family wedding and then basically start dating. Like, crazy movie. Then in 1994, he did a little movie called The Client. Motherfucker did a John Grisham adaptation with Tommy Lee Jones, Susan Sarandon, and was it Brad Renfro? Yeah. He's the one that found the kid Brad Renfro and made him a superstar, which is apparently one of the things Schumacher was known for doing, was making casting choices and pulling people that no one had ever heard of, and then they ended up going on to have huge careers. In 1999, instead of making the third Grissom adaptation movie Runaway Jury, he went and made the 8mm film, which apparently in the Den of Geek article is awesome. He says they took he pitched 2 distinct versions of 8mm to Sony, a big budget picture starring man of the moment Nicolas Cage coming off the back of Face Up, or a darker, grittier version on a lower budget starring Russell Crowe, fresh from Romper Stomper. So he was set to make a version of 8mm starring Russell Crowe that was going to be a low-budget, even grittier version. And if you've seen 8mm, it's pretty fucking gritty. It's written by the same guy that wrote Seven. Like, it's a creepy-ass film. Then in 2000, he did Tigerland, where Colin Farrell earned his big Hollywood break courtesy of Schumacher, who cast him the lead role for his understated Vietnam drama. The Irishman played a would-be writer drafted to fight in the war despite his opposition to it. And of course, yeah, Colin Farrell went on to do a few movies. Like, he's pretty well known. And then this one I'd never actually even heard of Veronica Guerin, having enjoyed something of a renaissance after re-teaming with Farrell in the noir lace through a phone booth, which I personally think is Joel Schumacher's greatest movie and one of the best movies of all time. Phone Booth is fucking amazing. If you haven't seen it, it's literally a movie that takes place with a guy who's stuck on the phone avoiding being assassinated.
It's super intense. Like, they do a really good job of just ramping up the tension and having you on the edge of your seat. When the concept is, it's pretty much a camera on Colin Farrell's face in a phone booth most of the entire time he's in there.
For like 90 minutes. Intense. Yeah, other than like Saw, it's the most limited set movie I think I've ever seen, and it's just from credits to credits, it's ingenious.
The Ryan Reynolds being buried in a box one might be the one with the most limited set.
Oh yeah. That was too. What was the 6 Feet Underground or whatever it was? That one was good. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds in a box on a cell phone, which was basically, we're gonna do phone booth but not have any exterior shots.
Oh man,
we're just put him in a box.
I can't imagine what it'd be like to film that one. Ugh.
Yeah, this one says he signed out to direct a drama on the real-life story of assassinated Irish journalist Veronica Guerin. Guerin was a crime reporter investigating Ireland's illegal drug trade during the early 1990s, whose violent murder prompted nationwide protests and a major clampdown on illegal narcotics viewed as a tipping point in the country's war on drugs. So yeah, that's what I haven't seen. So there's even some old Schumachers I need to go find. But yeah, so Gonna Geek's got the 5 most underrated Schumachers that you should watch. But yeah, going back over his IMDb, like, it is one of the most impressive resumes, I think, of almost any director working. When you look at the fact that he only has 35 directing credits, but the directing credits he has are insane. He did The Incredible Shrinking Woman in 1981. Then he did DC Cab. Then he did St. Elmo's Fire. Then the next movie he did was The Lost Boys. Like, those 3 in a row is fucking insane. And every video shelf of every movie store in the 80s had all 3 of those movies. Like, that's guaranteed. I remember all 3 of those covers. Like, everybody had those films. Then, yeah, he did a couple of video shorts for NXS. He did Cousins. Then he did Flatliners. The original Flatliners. The goddamn mentally disturbing Flatliners, which possibly has, like, the greatest cast outside of, The Breakfast Club. Fucking Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, Julia Roberts. It had one of the Baldwins in it. It had freaking Oliver Platt in it. Like, just an amazing film. Yeah, it's literally like, a medical. If you haven't seen it, it's medical students killing themselves to see how long they can stay dead and then come back. And then they end up realizing that they brought something back with them. It is super creepy, and the original is 100 times better than the remake. So yeah, if you've seen the new current Flatliners, which the cast wasn't bad, the script wasn't bad, but it didn't have that terror. Like, they didn't nail that fucking fear that Joel Schumacher and the original cast got. Like, go watch the original Flatliners from 1990. It is just a stupendous film. Then, yeah, he did Falling Down with Michael Douglas, the ultimate road rage movie, where a crazy white man just goes insane through, what was it, Southern LA, Southern California somewhere? Then, of course, as Seal put it, he took the Kiss from a Rose song and took it from a B-side nothing to a worldwide hit and gave us Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. He also did, A Time to Kill, 8mm, Flawless, the aforementioned Tigerland, Bad Company, Phone Booth, Blood Creek, and then right there at the end, before he stopped working, apparently, in 2013, he directed 2 of the episodes of House of Cards.
Oh, nice.
Like, dude was still working on a current show up until 7 years ago. And yeah, made it to his 80s. Apparently was a gay man out on the prowl and fucked like a beast. And apparently had like Wilt Chamberlain numbers. And just sucked the marrow out of life. Like, this is the type of life you want to lead when you die at 80. Like, you're a fucking kid that grew up in New York, got into film from the costume department. Who the hell ever does that and becomes a director? I've never even heard of another person going from the costuming department and ending up directing films, much less directing like 30 of them. And some of the best films ever. Like the 80s and 90s was all Joel Schmacher. Like the dude was working all the time and bringing us just amazing actors that ended up having long kick-ass careers. But yeah, honestly, if you haven't seen 8mm, it's super creepy. It's one of the creepiest films ever. I would say A Time to Kill, Falling Down, Flatliners, Phone Booth, which I love, and then yeah, Lost Boys. He gave us the vampire film. Like, all of my jokes about sparkly vampires are because I grew up with badass vampires with mullets that rode motorcycles that ate maggots. Like, he made Kiefer Sutherland a badass. Like, come on. 20 years before 24, he made Kiefer Sutherland a badass. Like, Lost Boys is the shit. Yeah, we got to celebrate the life of Joel Schmacher. It wasn't just Batman, y'all. It wasn't just Neon and Nipples. The man did some fucking work.
Well, and I agree with Draftsman in the chat room saying Batman Forever, not a horrible movie. Batman Forever has the problem that the studio got way too involved in it because they couldn't sell toys with Batman Returns because it was too damn dark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both of those movies had problems. Both those movies also were a reaction to the Burton films.
Well,
just like the bad thing about Man of Steel is what it was a reaction to Superman Returns. The Joel Schumachers were a reaction to Burton's super fucking dark Batman. We had Catwoman committed suicide at the end of the last film. Like, it was not going well. They're like, we need to brighten this shit up. We need some toys for kids. And so Schumacher slaps some fucking neon on that shit. He's like, we're going to make a bright, happy, crazy Gotham City.
Well, and I didn't realize to what extent, like, the studio had come in and kind of changed things around on him on Batman Forever. Like, I didn't realize that until this morning, to be honest, when one of the guys I follow on Twitter watches a bunch of movies, he likes to live tweet him as he does it, and was talking about Batman Forever, and start going into some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, which then I went and pulled up on Wikipedia to find out. Like, for instance, it says on here, and let me find it, Joel Schumacher's original cut of the movie was 2 hours and 40 minutes. They cut it down to, like, a lot shorter than that because they wanted it to be quick on screen. They made it be lighter because there were darker elements to it. And they cut out a lot of the stuff with Bruce Wayne kind of coming to grips with things going on in his life. Like, if you go on the Wikipedia, there's this huge thing with, like, all of the deleted scenes they filmed for it. All of them were filmed and deleted from the movie. It wasn't a matter of, here's what we had on paper, but we didn't do. And, like, some of the really cool stuff in there is, here we go. And I'm going to read directly from the Wikipedia article. Another deleted scene involved Bruce waking up after being shot in the head by Two-Face, temporarily forgetting his origin in life as the Dark Knight. Alfred takes him to the Batcave, which has been destroyed by the Riddler.
Nice.
They stand on the platform where the Batmobile was, and Alfred says, funny, they don't know about the cave beneath the cave. The platform rotates downward to another level, where all the equipment is kept. Bruce then discovers the cavern where he first saw the giant bat that inspired him to become Batman. Inside, he finds his father's red diary, which he had dropped when he first fell into the Batcave after his parents' death. He reads the entry about him insisting his parents take him to the theater to see a show that same night they were killed. He realizes he had misread it, and his father had written, even though Bruce insists we wanted to see Zorro, so his show will have to wait until next week. Bruce realizes his parents' death was not his fault. The giant bat then appears, and Bruce raises his arms to match the wing anatomy of the bat, and the shot shows they are now one. Bruce now remembers who he is and goes with Alfred to solve the riddles left throughout the film. That would have been really cool. It's a little corny at the end where, like, he raises his hands and morphs into the bat. But it's a symbolism thing they're trying to portray.
Yeah.
But, like, he wanted to go deeper with this movie in some aspects. And that's one of the arguments people make about why Batman Forever, and to a greater extent Batman and Robin, miss the mark, is they're not deep. There's no emotional core to it, really. There's no life-changing things. It's not great.
Yeah, a lot of that was Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it also did a pretty good job of doing their take on a Dick Grayson origin story. And the Dick Grayson Robin costume,
Chris O'Donnell is great.
Yeah, and the Dick Grayson Robin costume in Batman Forever was awesome. It looked almost as though like what you were seeing Tim Drake wear in the comics at that time.
Yeah, people talk bad shit about those movies, but also I still defend Val Kilmer is the best Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne is egotistical. He's outdating supermodels. He fucking is in public being an ass. His Batman sucks. But Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne was brooding and hiding all the time and never performed as Bruce Wayne. People forget Bruce Wayne is the mask. Bruce Wayne is supposed to be a party boy. Bruce Wayne is supposed to be out in public making an ass of himself. Val Kilmer nailed that.
Yeah.
His Bruce Wayne was great.
Bruce Wayne doesn't see himself as Bruce Wayne. He sees himself as Batman.
Yeah.
It's one of those cool little throwaway lines they did in an episode of Batman Beyond where like there was, I can't remember which villain or whatever it was like projecting things into Bruce's head where he's calling himself Bruce in it. And he goes, number one, I know I'm not crazy. And number two, I don't call myself Bruce. And then you got that cool line from Terry, like, well, that's my name now.
Yeah, he's like, when I talk to myself in my head, I don't call myself Bruce.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's how I know I'm not crazy, motherfucker. Yeah, in my brain, I'm Batman.
And I will say, going back to Batman Forever, I loved this movie when I was a kid. It came out in 96, so you're talking about a Chris that was 12 years old, 12, 13-year-old Chris. I loved that thing. I saw it a couple times in theaters. I had like the audiobook version of it that I listened to all the time. I loved it.
What's the release date? This movie came out a month before I left for the Navy. Like, this was the film I went and saw, and then I went and left for the Navy for 6 years. I loved this movie when it hit the theaters, especially since it was brighter and more cheerful. And Jim Carrey, at the height of his fucking game, was an insane Riddler. He was batshit crazy. It was perfect. Yeah, like there's all sorts of downside you can pull it apart later, but when this movie came out, it was fucking awesome. And yeah, I love Drew Barrymore as Sugar.
Most people did.
Sugar and Spice were fucking awesome. The fact that Tommy Lee Jones lived in a house that was split down the middle, like it was so utterly ridiculous and comic book campy. Like, in a way, this was like a throwback to like the Adam West stuff. This was a Batman world that had color in it. Like, it had the bow boom bang like fights in it. It wasn't so dark and gritty as the frickin' Tim Burton was. Like, it wasn't a psychological terror film. Like, the two Tim Burton movies were designed to drive you crazy.
Yeah. Batman Forever gets a bad rap. I don't think it is as bad as many people say. I do have my quibbles with it as an adult now, which is I feel like Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face, he more played as a crazier Joker. He was more Joker than Two-Face, because Two-Face is supposed to be conflicted and twisted and broken, and he was just like a crazy clown.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he was more crazy and cartoonish than... And maybe that was just how he was told to play the character. I don't know. I thought Jim Carrey's Riddler was awesome. Like, and it's dark. One of the first things you see him do is push his boss out a window in the beginning of the movie.
He murders his boss to start things off.
Yeah. And I misspoke. It came out in June 1995, not 96. My apologies, everyone. Don't send me hate mail.
Oh, yeah, you said 96. I read this. Nice. This came out a year before I left for the Navy.
Yeah. It was June 16th, 1995.
Yeah, I probably watched it a couple of times before I left for the military. Yeah, this is my junior year in high school. Is when this movie came out. And I know I saw it in the theaters, and I fucking loved it. Yeah, the only thing that always bugged me was I always thought they got the titles backwards. Like, this is the movie that should have been called Batman and Robin, because it was the fucking introduction of Robin. And then the next movie, where they introduced Batgirl, and the idea of Batman will never die, should have been the movie called Batman Forever.
I can't remember, though, just because I don't remember what things were like back then. Did any of the advertising or promotional material give away the fact that Robin was in the movie?
Oh, yeah. It had the Chris O'Donnell stuff in it. Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
In the trailers. Yeah, it had, because it had the scene where he's hanging from the rope and he saves Batman from like the construction site that's dumping dirt on him. And he's wearing like the made up costume that he had done himself. Yeah. That scene was in the trailer. Okay. I remember that for sure. So yeah, it was about Batman and Robin, which yes, I never understood why it was called Batman Forever when like the concept of Batman being an undying thing is literally what they go into in the fourth movie. And this was the introduction of Robin. Like, this movie should have been called Batman and Robin.
Yeah. And I know why they didn't do it in Batman and Robin. I wish they'd pulled the trigger on Nightwing, because they basically gave Robin the Nightwing costume and still called him Robin.
Yeah, and all they did was they give him the line where he referred to himself as Nightwing, which even that was like a huge like geek nod.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he called himself Nightwing. Draftsman said, yeah, Debbie Mazar as Spice is the reason we all still want a golf girlfriend. She stole the show from Drew Barrymore for me. She was pretty hot. Like, Debbie Mazar was definitely hot. But honestly, I wanted Sugar and Spice. You couldn't have one without the other. I wanted both. Don't be looking at me like that with your side eye.
Wait, is that Willie Nelson? Do we have a wild Willie that's joined the show today?
I think we've been willied.
Have we been willied? Is that him?
You're getting the full Willy.
No! Nobody wants that.
Welcome to the show,
Hey.
Willie. We were just talking about Batman Forever.
Well, look who's awake.
You don't want to know.
Or not
Kinda-
quite awake.
There's a ridiculous haircut or hair design you got on your head, Anthony, and I actually like it.
I didn't comb my hair. I just got out of the shower.
I like it.
So it's flopping forward a little
You
bit.
probably shouldn't take hair advice from Willie and I. I mean,
That's true. Since I'm the only one here who can
I'm not
actually
giving
grow
you-
hair on his head.
I'm not giving advice. I just say I don't like it.
man, now that Willie's here, I can't randomly throw things to the Willie Nelson picture and ask for comments.
Well, you can. It's just weirder if you
Yeah.
do
Is
it
that
while
what's
he's
been going
here.
on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were acting like you were here, Willie.
That's what he always does whenever you're not here.
That's fair. Hey, remember, late Willie is right twice a day.
Yeah, something about sun in a dog's ass, whatever.
I don't know what any
we've-
of this means.
I never
we've
heard.
been
I never
talking
heard
about-
that one.
We've been talking about the impeccable film franchises of one Joel Schmacher, who sadly passed away this week.
Oh yeah, the bringer of the bat nipples. Which once I heard why he brought it, I was all right with it.
Why'd he bring it, Willie?
You don't know why he brought. You don't know why he brought the bat nipples.
Fill it in for the audience. They might
Tell
not
the
know.
audience, fool.
Well, I thought you go cry. Okay, calm down, sit down, let Willie tell you a tale. Pretty much, he wanted to model after Greek statues. That's it. And I was like,
That's
all
a
right.
very short tale.
I was expecting a long, engrossing saga. Instead, I got 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Oh, wow.
that's normally what happens with me.
Well, I was expecting that joke to get made, but I was hoping I didn't have to make it.
Bring on the disappointment.
Well, Willie, I'm glad
Yeah.
you ended up making it because I was holding off my news story until you got here because I'm sure
Ooh.
you're going to have
Well, here we
strong opinions about it. Because I know how much you love talking about the Microsoft Xboxes.
Which ones?
That's what
And
I
you
wanted
better
to
get them
talk to you
straight.
about. This is why I said Xboxes. So
The
there was
Xbox Series 1 X Bone 1 X Series.
There is
Something
some internal Microsoft memos that kind of leaked out this week that go back to the fact that Microsoft has supposedly been planning to release a second, cheaper, less powerful next-gen Xbox console that is codenamed Lockhart in all of these documents. I've got this story from TheVerge.com. This is designed to take most of the key next-gen improvements found in the Series X and provide them at a lower price point for gaming at 1080p or 1440p. This was found in a newly leaked Microsoft document posted on Twitter, which included references to the Lockhart console and multiple Project Scarlet consoles. Now remember, Project Scarlet was the code name for Xbox Series X. It continues, and it mentions a Lockhart profiling mode in this document. Sources familiar with Microsoft's Xbox plans told The Verge that the special Lockhart mode is part of the Xbox Series X developer kit. This dev kit, which is codenamed Dante, allows game developers to enable a special Lockhart mode that is a profile of performance that Microsoft wants to hit with the second console. This includes 7.5 gigs of usable RAM, a slightly underclocked CPU speed, and around 4 teraflops of GPU performance. For comparison, the Xbox Series X includes 13.5 gigs of usable RAM and targets 12 teraflops of GPU performance. Supposedly, developers will be able to use this Lockhart mode to test their games against this performance profile and do validation checks. Microsoft is expected to position its Lockhart console, like they mentioned earlier, for 1080p or 1440p gaming, two of the most popular resolutions used by PC gaming monitors currently. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Microsoft has not acknowledged Lockhart, although the code can be found in the Xbox One operating system, alongside references to Anaconda and Dante, code names that have been attributed to the other consoles we've heard about, the dev kit in the Series X. The Verge understands that this second next-gen Xbox console will launch alongside Xbox Series X, provided Microsoft doesn't cancel at the last minute. Lockhart will likely be named Xbox Series S, which explains Microsoft trademarking the Xbox Series branding. Willie, is your brain hurt?
A lot. I'm just trying to think. Are these code names done because after Final Fantasy VII?
It's possible. I mean, remember, this is all the developers and the folks behind the scenes that assign code names for what they're going to call a project while they're talking about it in-house. So a lot of times that's something they all like or a game they all like and pay homage to that.
Is this? I wonder if the retail name of this thing is going to be Xbox XOXO.
It's Xbox Series S, supposedly, which goes in line with what...
Isn't there already one?
There's... I think it's the Xbox One S currently, which is the discless all-digital version of the Xbox One. The Verge makes an argument that the second Xbox console is going to be key to Microsoft's pricing strategy for the next gen. The company has already committed to introducing its Xbox All Access subscription for the Xbox Series X. This is a bundle that includes a console, Xbox Live, and Xbox Game Pass for a monthly fee. The thought is they would also be able to do the same thing with the Series S, the less powerful version, to continue to push people towards subscribing to Live, Game Pass, and getting a newer console.
Okay.
But here's
these
the thing.
names.
This has been rumored so much for like the last 2 years. This is the same rumor just come back again, only this time there's an internal memo that says they've explored it. There's no guarantee Microsoft decides to be like, hey, we're going to release a lower spec version of the Xbox at the same time we drop the Series X. I think it'd be an interesting move, but
I don't particularly think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea in one aspect, which is if you want to get people to upgrade who are on the fence, they're more apt to spend a lesser amount of money, especially if the Series X is at a high price point. I guess a lot of the smartness of this depends on how expensive the Series X is. If it's a $500 console and they put out the Series S at, say, $300 or $250, I think you get a lot of people, especially around the holiday time frame, they're like, yeah, I'm okay with that. I can play all these new games. I just get the quick load speeds, stuff like that, and it looks better. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to figure a lot of parents will go for the cheaper version if it's still the new system.
I do like the plan they have there with combining it with their subscription models, which means you don't have to pay $500 up front. You combine it with your subscription to Live and Game Pass, and you pay it off over time with no interest. That's pretty cool, too.
I just hope they don't saturate the market with SKUs.
Well, I mean, what you're seeing here is not quite the same, but is analogous to the fact there's going to be 2 different PlayStation 5s that come out. Only the difference there is the hardware is roughly the same. You're just getting rid of a Blu-ray drive.
A 4K Blu-ray drive.
Correct. I misspoke. A 4K Blu-ray drive.
I would say it's a lot different because those are supposed to be exactly like, same insides except for the drive. But sounds like it's supposed to be it's instead of releasing like the Pro edition or what was it, the S edition for the Xbox? Is that what the Pro was?
You have the Xbox One X, which is the current top version of the
All right.
Xbox.
All right. It's like instead of releasing the Xbox One first and then releasing the Xbox One S. I hope I'm getting that right. My brain is getting hurting from these names. It's like releasing the Xbox One S and then releasing the Xbox One.
Well,
And that's...
I honestly, I don't think it's going to happen because I think at this point in time, Microsoft would have... We're getting, it's June 28th right now. These consoles are rumored to drop mid-November. So we're talking 4.5 months, something like that.
We don't have prices.
We don't even have prices on any of them. If they were going to do it, they have to announce it like at their next event. Otherwise, it's certainly not coming, would be my opinion. Because this isn't something you just drop at the last thing. Like, oh, surprise, here's a lesser version of the Series X. I mean, and let's be honest, they're probably producing and manufacturing these devices right now, too.
if they want it for November, they're being built right now.
So
if they're going to do it.
How is that not leaked out then? Considering you can't keep an iPhone or a Pixel phone secret for 6 months before they release, how are you keeping a new console, a second version of a next-gen console, a secret this close to release? I'm just skeptical.
I don't know how good's the security at their concentration camp in China where they make theirs.
I think they're not making theirs in China. That was one of the things they'd said. That's why they didn't think coronavirus would impact them as much.
Where are they making them?
It was Vietnam, I think, where they were doing that. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's some other Asian country.
We went back to Nam.
Leave it to Microsoft to go back to Nam.
Getting flashbacks.
Let's see. Xbox manufactured by Flextronics, which is Guadalajara, Mexico right now, it appears.
Oh.
Assuming the Google machine was right. They had done China before, but this is seeming to indicate that it's Mexico now. Interesting.
Gotta make those skin computer chips that goes underneath the skin. They need to make those too with them. That's how they get you. Bill Gates, you did it again, you son of a bitch.
I think the thought of having two consoles released at the same time is something that the press has covered a lot because of early leaks. I just don't know. I haven't gone and read the memo that they quoted, for instance. Like, I probably should have gone and done that. I just didn't have time before the show. But I wonder what that memo is dated. Like, is that like a week ago or is that like 6 months ago? Because Microsoft has even had people ask them about this supposed Lockhart model and kind of begged off like, eh.
I do not like this idea of having a more powerful and a less powerful console released at the exact same time. I mean, when they did it for the was there any other secondary model for the 360? Because I remember the PS3 had two different sizes. It also was the hard drive.
There
size.
was one that came with a hard drive, and there was one that you had to use memory cards on, so you could buy the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was like a hard drive that clipped onto the top of it, so you had to buy what was the Pro model to get the 20 gig hard drive. Otherwise, you had to buy memory cards.
Memory cards. I'm so happy we went away from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was such a happy time.
Saving games and like swapping memory cards to play different games. Like, oh my god.
Or someone losing your memory card, and you're like, I've got 60 hours of Final Fantasy on that.
I had so many memory cards. I think with my PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I had like fucking 13 of them fucking things. Trying to remember what was on each one. Like, oh my god, it was ridiculous.
I think I only had one or two, and I just deleted stuff.
I mean, that's what I did on some stuff too. To wrap this one up, though, I think if they are putting two consoles out like this, it starts to lean more towards what they're trying to push is getting people into the ecosystem to subscribe to things like Game Pass and Live. Because you can sell it as, hey, you can buy the next console and also get Game Pass, which unlocks however many games they have available on the service at a time, which is a crap load. I can't tell you an exact number, but every time I go on there, I'm like, I should play that. That looks pretty cool. There's always stuff to play. So maybe that's more the spin here is, hey, we want you just to have the way to get into our ecosystem. I don't think the Lockhart thing is going to happen. I'll probably end up being wrong because I have no official insider sources, anything like that. This is just me looking at it and going, why would you do that? It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. I'm at a loss here because that just makes no sense to me.
Right?
Yep.
Willie's concentrating hard. Well, that wraps up my second news story, though. Willie, did you have anything you wanted to discuss this week with everyone?
I think I did. I really think I did. What was it?
I'm assuming Last of Us.
Yeah, so I did beat Last of Us Part 2. And without giving details or, spoiling anything, the ending it's unsatisfying.
Ooh.
I mean, not like it's in a bad way. It's like it's not a happy ending. It's a very unsatisfying ending. It is just an ending, and I guess that's just the way they wanted it to go. It's just, I mean, I just much rather, let's do the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey thing, and they're going off the cliff, Thelma and Louise style, and they're like, hey Garth, yeah, how about we just do a happy ending instead? Yeah, that sounds like a better idea. Whoa. And they go back and they do a happy ending instead. I was hoping for that, but I mean, those games are not known, or the whole story is not known for happy endings. So I guess I should have saw it coming, but you don't get like. I guess I didn't get the closure I guess I fully wanted.
It is a zombie apocalypse game, right? And you were expected a happy ending?
Right.
Have you read The Walking Dead?
Well, that being said, a lot of people who have played the game, and I apologize, I had to step away for like 30 seconds while Willie was talking. A lot of people who played the game haven't been happy with the ending, it seemed like. From what I've seen
yeah. Although I've also seen like there's some story moments where there are some very anti-SJW people, that's anti-social justice warrior people, going off on it because of the inclusiveness of, different things, and they don't like it. And I think that's wrong, just not like, because they didn't put it like in your face, like, made this like, you will like this or else. They didn't do that. It's just there, which is the good way. It's a good way of doing it. It's just, it's a thing that's just happening. It's not like, you're going to put this in your face and you're going to like it regardless. It's not like that, which I have seen, and that's also
So you're saying there's
way.
some nuance to it.
I wouldn't use that word, but if you want to use that word, I'm going to let you.
Okay.
So I ain't stopping you. I don't want to say anything about the ending to spoil it, or mostly about most of the story. But it was just unsatisfying.
Is that a matter of it's been hyped so much that nothing was going to match those expectations, or is it that they just missed the mark, you think?
I don't even think it's either of those. That's the story they wanted to tell, and that's how they wanted it to end. I will say it felt like it ends about 3 or 4 times. It does touch on to some some PTSD type stuff, because I mean they go through some some trauma with fighting each other, and they touch on that. I like that, although I wish it seemed like they could have ended some way. There are some flashback scenes throughout the game. This might be a little bit of a spoiler, but there's 2 characters you play as, and you flash back to the story like as you play through each of them. And it seems like the flashback scenes they didn't really have a rhyme or reason to them. They could have been done in any order. Like, we could take this flashback scene, we could just move it over here. It wouldn't have made a bunch of a difference. And at the end, like I said, it feels like it ends like 3 or 4 times. And like I was playing it like Thursday night, and when my buddy was coming over, and he came in, I was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's almost over." And it just kept on going. I was like, "All right, it's going into a new segment now. I'm just gonna stop it here." Then I finished it yesterday, or was it Friday? Yeah, I finished it Friday, and it was just, it was a lot more to it, and the story just kept on going. And I was like, a couple months have already passed since that happened, since what I just saw. Okay, it wasn't bad. It was just weird. Let's go with that.
That's
Good ending is hard to do.
I mean, it's true.
If Lost taught us anything.
Lost, Chuck, Mass Effect.
Oh no, Lost was bad.
So was Chuck. Did you watch Chuck?
No, I never watched Chuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do know what could have been weird with that. Also, he had he had some kind of information put into his brain. I don't remember how, but that's all that was, right? Some secret
the whole
government
premise.
information?
Well, part of the premise of Chuck, and spoiler alert for a show that's been canceled for almost 10 years at this point in time, guys.
I'm good with that.
He's got a supercomputer called the Intersect put in his head that contains all the government's secrets. They send
and he can access it, right?
Correct, and he learns to access it better. They send 2 super spies to protect him. Sarah, played by Yvonne Strahovski, and then Adam Baldwin playing. Oh my God, I forgot the guy's name all of a sudden.
Wait, Adam Baldwin. Is this the same Adam Baldwin
Jane.
I'm thinking of?
Jane
Yes,
from
that's the
Firefly.
same Adam
Yeah.
Baldwin I'm
Yeah.
thinking of. I
Who
didn't know
plays
he was in
the
that.
other spy, John Casey, the other spy set
Casey,
to
yeah.
protect him. And there's this whole will they or won't they thing they build up to between Sarah and Chuck, because that's part of what it was built around, was this potential romance to them. Eventually, when you get to the end of the series, they're married, they've started their own spy organization that works for the CIA, and then they put an intersect in Sarah's brain, and it erases all of her memories of everything she's done with Chuck. And the ending is those two sitting on the beach, her presumably about to leave him, and they kiss one last time, and it ends right there as, ooh, is that going to make her remember things? So this relationship they made fundamental to the entire show, they erased it at the end.
She got Gamora'd.
I mean, sort
Yeah,
of.
there you go.
I mean, that's effectively what happened, is she got rolled back to an earlier version of the character.
Without time travel, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if you're someone who watched that show, you're like, this shit did you just do? You took, like, 5 years of development, this relationship developed between them prior to her getting her brain wiped. Like, they're talking about retiring and having a kid and stuff like this. They've
Well,
taken
and a
her,
show that the audience fought to bring back, too.
right, multiple times. Like, all
Yeah.
those campaigns with Subway and stuff like that to get the show renewed.
Yep.
Same thing Community did, too, at around the same time frame.
Oh, so she also got kissed by Superman, right?
Yeah, right. Well, Brandon Routh was in the show
Yeah,
after
Routh
Superman
was
Returns,
awesome.
and Brandon Routh was awesome in it. It's well worth watching if you have Amazon Prime. I think it's free on Prime right now. It's a really fun show.
What's funny is I've
No, not after what
binged
you
it,
told me.
but I've never made it into like season 5.
Yeah,
I
just
think I've
stop
never
at
made it
season
past
4.
season 4. And so I still love Chuck. So maybe I should just never go back and finish it. Like I get to the point where Scott Bakula shows up, and I'm like, awesome! Quantum Leap is Chuck's dad.
Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
What was he quantum leaping?
No.
No.
But there's like really cool stuff. Like Linda Hamilton is Chuck's mom. So
Yeah.
his mom is Linda Hamilton. His dad is Scott Bakula. And like they did these really good jobs of like bringing people in who are cool in other geek genres and movies and stuff like that and giving them guest roles. Like they're responsible for Chevy Chase getting the job on Community because they brought Chevy Chase in to be a quirky, weird bad guy. And then he got cast in Community because of how well he was received on there. Like they brought
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton in.
He was
to
like
be
the
an
off the
evil
wall
spy.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
No, that was Dalton. I think that was that.
Oh no, Chevy Chase. Yeah, he was the
Ted
seductress.
Rourke. No, Ted Rourke. He was Ted Rourke. He was the guy that owned Rourke Industries that was trying to make their own Intersect.
Are these the same
that's
Rourkes from Sin
right.
City?
I don't believe so. No, but
Yeah.
that could have been an homage to.
I'm not
Sin
talking about
City.
Mickey Rourke.
I know. But like it was full of all sorts of these cool little Easter eggs that you could be like, oh man, I really enjoy that. That's cool. They brought in this Star Trek actor, or they brought in this guy from Firefly, or they brought in stuff like that. Like they had Nathan Fillion in an episode, I believe. Well, no, I might be getting that confused with Castle when Adam Baldwin was on Castle.
The man they call Jane.
But yeah, if you have Prime Video, all of Chuck is available on Prime Video right now.
Man, I might have to go finish that and just not watch the last episode then.
I mean, it started in 2007, ended in 2012, I think, 2012 or 2013. So it's been off the air for a while.
So it definitely survived that writer's strike.
Yeah.
It did. It had oh crap, what's the name of the actor who went to go? Oh, Bryce Larkin, who was the character's name?
Oh, White Collar.
yeah, the guy who was the lead in White Collar.
Yeah, fucking oh
my
god, yeah, he's on Suits now, I think.
He was not on Suits. He's been doing American Horror Story and stuff like that.
Evan
Matt Bomer.
Peters.
So Matt Bomer was on the
Yeah,
show as a
Bomer.
super spy who was Chuck's roommate in college, who's responsible for
Yeah,
him.
his arch nemesis,
Yeah.
who was actually his friend and he didn't realize it. Which was great storytelling. Like for the first 2 seasons, he's referred to as this evil guy and you find out no, he actually saved Chuck from being recruited to the CIA because he didn't want him to ruin his life.
Yeah, I'm just going through
How would that
here.
ruin his life? All right, this whole story, I guess.
But like you
Yeah,
go
it's
through
all
some of
sorts
the
of stuff.
the guest stars they had: Michael Clark Duncan, Tony Todd, Matt Bomer, Rachel Bilson, who was huge at that time because of the OC, Kevin Wiseman, who was on Alias, and he's the
Carrie
guy-
Ann Moss, Kristen Kriuk.
John Larroquette.
John Larroquette was the seductor.
He was the
yeah, he
seductor.
was the one that they brought in to teach Chuck how to be
I
a
can see
gigolo.
that.
Yeah,
It was
I can see that.
hilarious.
Yep. Tony Hale, Jordana Brewster, Mark Pellegrino, Morgan Fairchild, Bruce Boxleitner, Carl Lumbly, Gary Cole, Michael Rooker, Reginald Val Johnson. He was in as a police officer
Oh.
who was Big Mike's brother or cousin. I can't remember.
Robin Givens.
Yeah.
Ray Wise, the motherfucking devil himself.
Dominic Monaghan, Jerome Bettis, Andy Richter, Jenny McCarthy, Brooklyn Decker. Katrina Law was in it. I didn't know that. Robert Picardo, Trisha Helfer, Scott Bakula, Chevy Chase,
Gary Cole.
Vinnie Jones, Brandon Routh, Kristen Crook, Angie Harmon, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep. And
That's a positive.
Yeah.
One of the funnest names to say ever, Armand Sante.
Did you already say Robert Patrick? I couldn't remember.
No, yeah.
Robert
the T1000
Patrick.
was on there.
Mark Shepard, Badger from Firefly.
There
Fred
were
Wait,
Willard,
what is
so
his
many
name?
great people on this
Mark
show.
Shepard. He was Badger in
I
Firefly.
thought that's his name?
Yeah,
That's
thought it was
fucking
something different. He's also in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I believe so, yes. He was in
Oh, I
Battlestar
know he is.
Galactica, Doctor Who. Let's see, Fred Willard was in there. Susie Kurtz was in there. Christopher Lloyd did a few episodes. Olivia Munn, Linda Hamilton, Henry Dean Stanton, Dolph Lundgren, Lou Ferrigno, Isaiah Mustafa.
But isn't Mark
Are we
Shepard
still going through
Crowley?
Yeah,
Isn't he Crowley from Supernatural?
yeah, Crowley from Supernatural.
Yeah, that's what I always know him from.
I didn't know
Crowley.
Dave Bautista did Chuck. Huh. Robert Englund, Summer Glau, Timothy Dalton.
Oh. Wow, in 2010, yes, that's when Dave was still wrestling. So yeah, he must have been like a background, like heavy or something.
Yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips. Lauren Cohen from Walking Dead. I didn't know she'd done an episode.
Dietrich Bader,
Ray Wise.
Oh.
Olivia Munn.
Hmm.
Yeah, the show just had
Said it.
everybody who loved geek stuff showed up and did one episode of Chuck.
Mark freaking Hamill.
There you go.
Ethan Phillips from Star
Mark Hamill won't save a project. I believe me and Bachman just found that out yesterday.
Trek. What did Mark Hamill not save? I'm confused.
We'll
Well,
find out
it's-
about it in
well,
what I'm getting
yeah.
into sequence.
Yep.
All right. Danny
Yep.
Pudi was on there and Yvette Nicole Brown before Community.
Yep. Yeah.
Rebecca Romaine,
What is-
Stan Lee, Cheryl Ladd.
Brooklyn Decker.
She wasn't a Stamos at the time? Scandal.
Scandalous. Scandalous. Yeah, there's all
Look at
sorts
Robert
of stuff.
England was on it. Fucking
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger showed up on Chuck.
And he was
Like-
responsible for unleashing nightmares on people with some weird drug, if I remember right. So
Yeah.
like they played
It was
up by-
awesome.
Yeah, it's a really fun show, Willie. I think you would enjoy it because
Yeah, but you just told me it ends terribly,
well, don't
so I'm
watch
never going to
season
watch
5. Don't watch
I
season
was like,
5.
yeah, I just need to
it.
not
I just
watch the
won't
last
watch
season.
any of it.
Just stop at
Just
season
won't
4.
watch
and
any
you're
of it.
good.
Well, it's like Lost is an amazing show. Go watch the first 2 seasons of Lost. You just don't watch anything after that. If you watch the first 2 seasons of Lost, it's one of the best shows in television history.
And Battlestar Galactica
Well, the-
is great. Just don't watch the second half of the finale.
Well, the problem with Lost is
Actually,
they
I-
pretty much
I
just
even
straight up lied to you.
I like the end of Battlestar.
Lost lied to you. Go figure. A J.J. Abrams movie that lies to you and tries to pretend like, look, we're so
Oh.
smart, you won't see what we're trying to do. J.J. Abrams is a
Are
hack.
they in purgatory? No, they're not in purgatory. No. Oh yeah, they were in purgatory the whole
Oh,
time.
that's Khan. No, it's not Khan. Come on, it's J.J. Abrams. He's all
Well,
about
that I
mystery
can
box crap.
understand.
And no. He
The
makes
Khan
pretty
thing
movies,
I
not
can
good
understand.
movies. Star Trek got
Sometimes
better when
pretty
J.J.
movies
Abrams
can't-
left it.
I don't know. I didn't really pay
Yeah, I
attention
think
to
Star
them.
Trek got better when J.J. Abrams showed up.
I think Star Trek got better when Justin Lin did Star Trek Beyond.
That was good too.
Yeah, when the Beastie Boys is classical music.
So weird.
It's so fun though.
Then again, I'm sorry, but if you could have Idris Elba, don't cover him in fucking makeup. That man is too damn pretty to be covered in all
Get
that
out of the
makeup.
makeup.
He's like a black
Eventually.
Superman.
I'm Black Superman.
Black Superman.
He really is Black Superman.
You know that movie is so dumb, but I really enjoyed it.
It's
I mean,
perfectly
that's the
dumb.
point of it.
Yeah, I mean it was exactly what it needed
It's
to
a
be.
movie whose title starts with The Fast and Furious Presents.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
fuck
the
are
whole
you
scene where they're
expecting?
where they're fighting on the either side of the glass window, and he's like, the Rock's like, oh, and it was
I love
just.
that part.
Love it too.
Choose the wrong door.
Yeah.
And he just keeps bashing that dude's head to the sensor, and it won't fucking read his ID.
Oh god, it scared me for a second. I just looked on Twitter and saw Mel Brooks was trending, and I got really scared. It's because it's his birthday. He's 94
Oh,
today.
thank God.
Well, I mean, he earned some rest.
Well, I'm just saying it wouldn't be it wouldn't be shocking if he passed away, but it sure as fuck wouldn't be happy about it.
And
Yeah.
94, Jesus Christ.
I was just scared he was dead. And 2020
Yeah.
sucks. I don't need more books to go out in 2022.
And I love that his son did the video about, social distancing and wearing a mask and staying away from the elderly with his dad in the glass room behind him.
Yeah.
That shit was funny as hell.
I do have a mask a buddy gave to me. It's called Spaceballs, the mask.
Spaceballs, the mess. The kids love it.
Yeah, that's what I got now, yeah.
That being said, we have obviously transitioned off the news of the week because we've gone like 3 topics past the whole Xbox thing. So
That's true.
as we start to wrap things up, we'll go with our final segment of the show, a little segment called What I'm Into. It's our chance to share with you guys who are watching live or listening at a later date just what kind of geeky and or nerdy things we've been getting into so that you might want to go check them out yourselves. I will kick things off because my list is pretty short. I have not picked up a video game in 2 weeks now. I don't know what's wrong with me. So I haven't played any games. I have spent...
Well, that part's not new.
Oh, that hurts my feelings a little bit. But anyways...
What is it wrong?
I have moments where I go and play a bunch, and I don't know. I haven't been in the right headspace to want to play an in-depth, engrossing RPG right now, which is why I haven't picked up my Switch lately. And I don't really care much about the Animal Crossing bug event that was going on. Although I guess when they do the first summer patch, I'll start playing again.
I forgot about Animal Crossing, to tell you the truth.
Well, you'll be able to swim in the ocean when the new first summer drop comes out.
Will you be able
No,
to
I
drown
won't,
in the ocean?
'cause I won't play it.
Yeah, well, Willie won't play it. I see how it is. Let's see. What have I been getting into, though? I've mentioned on here before I've been ripping a bunch of my DVDs so that I can put them in a storage closet and basically run them off my Plex server. And some of the stuff I got finished ripping this week was the entire run of Babylon 5. J. Michael Straczynski's show that started in 1994 and ran to 99 or something like that, or 93 to 98.
Space politics.
Not so much space politics as like episode 1, but J. Michael Straczynski's run on Babylon 5, though, is responsible for a lot of the serialized television we have in today's world, though, because what he was notorious for doing at that point in time is when you had Star Trek Deep Space Nine doing like Creature of the Week and constantly resetting the status quo in the first few seasons to go back to where they were. J. Michael Straczynski's Babylon 5 was somebody did this bad thing and those repercussions stay and it's not being undone. So the fact that this planet got destroyed because Ambassador X instructed it to happen, that's a story point that's here forever. And how'd he do it? Well, here's some hints that 3 seasons later it finally gets revealed what happened. You're like, how the fuck did that happen? Like he did incredible work on serialized storytelling, and he wrote himself, I guess, for lack of a better term, his show Bible that outlined what the 5 years were of Babylon 5. And every character he had, he designed a way so that he could make them leave in the middle of it if he had to because of contract disputes, things like that. So like the end of season 1, you lose the main character of Babylon 5. Commander Sinclair gets reassigned. He's now the ambassador on a different planet because what we found out just recently was Michael O'Hare, the actor who played Jeffrey Sinclair, had real bad mental issues, schizophrenia and things like that. And he just couldn't keep acting and doing the stress of a show day to day. So JMS found a way to write him out. It was completely amicable and said, you take care of you, get your treatment, get whatever you need done. He goes, I'll never tell a soul about this until you tell me you can. And I guess when the actor passed in 2012, JMS was able to talk about a few years later, yeah, Michael O'Hare had problems, and that's why he couldn't do it. Because a lot of fans never really understood. They're like, main character just disappeared. What happened? Personally, I think it worked out better for the show because they brought Bruce Boxleitner in, Tron, and made him the main character. Boxleitner's awesome as Captain John Sheridan. But it's such a good show, and it holds up really well. I've kind of just been going through and watching some of my favorites again, and I'll probably start rewatching the series at some point, but I had forgotten how well it was constructed and how well they made you really like some of the characters, and then what they turned some of them into. It's a very well done show, and if you can look past the fact that the special effects at its time weren't good, and in 2020 they're even less good because of how they transferred the prints over to the DVDs, it's still a good show. There's still a lot of enjoyment you can get out of it. It's not available to stream with any subscription services right now. It was on Amazon Prime for a while. All you can do right now is buy the DVDs or buy digital copies on like Amazon or Google, or there's another site I think or iTunes Store I think it is. So you can't stream Babylon 5 anywhere right now. But it's really good. And as I'm rewatching it, I go, man, I can see how this planted the seeds for some of the stuff that I really came to like in the early and mid 2000s. Like, if there had been no Babylon 5, there wouldn't have been the Battlestar Galactica reboot in 2003 that Ron Moore did, that I love. You wouldn't have seen things like Lost, where they went into heavily serialized television, where there was long overarching plots, everything was connected, and the littlest thing could then come back up later down the road. And a lot of that is to the credit of JMS. And the fact that Babylon 5 made its 5 years successfully happen, which was in doubt for a while because the network they were on was shut down at the end of season 4. It's pretty cool that it lived on, and I've really enjoyed going back and watching it. And one of the things that actually blew my mind is when I first watched it, it was all on TV and then on VHS tapes that my dad and I had recorded off TV to go back and rewatch later. So everything there was in 4:3 aspect ratio. When I got the DVDs, I found out they filmed everything in widescreen 16:9 because JMS said, hey, this is the future. We're hearing these rumblings of things. It's like all the DVD transfers, everything's 16:9 widescreen on it.
Nice.
They went back to the original cut versus, cropping and stretching the 4:3 to make it fit. That's what they had to do on the special effects. That's a whole other story why that happened. But I spent a lot of time ripping a bunch of stuff to put on my Plex server so I have backup copies, and it's a lot easier to consume it now because any device in my house will play it. And just enjoying that and watching dumb TV. I watched another episode of Floor is Lava on Netflix just because it's dumb and entertains me. It's a stupid, stupid show, though.
I watched the trailer for that. It looks like good, stupid stuff.
Oh, it's pure, utter, just garbage TV. But I don't mean that in a bad way. It's the kind of thing you can watch, you can have some dumb laughs about, and then not even have to worry about retaining anything on it. You just laugh, enjoy yourself, and move on.
You can get the complete collection series Babylon 5 on DVD for $111.99. So it's not super cheap, but it's not super expensive either compared to some complete collection shows.
If you're comfortable doing eBay, you can find your copies there. That's how I got my copies, is on eBay, and I paid $85 for all 5 seasons plus the TV movies.
Nice. It just sucks when it's not available streaming. When we all have like multiple streaming services.
And it
now.
was on Amazon Prime for a while. And if you get if you have Comet TV as the channel, I think it is, on some cable subscriptions, they are replaying Babylon 5 on that. So like I know YouTube TV gives me the Comet channel, so I can record Babylon 5 on there if I wanted to also. And I think it's presented widescreen there as well. I can't remember. That's what I've been getting into.
Michael Straczynski, Rising Stars.
Rising Stars. He did one of the biggest runs of Thor and Spider-Man in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was one of the executive producers and creative consultants on the Thor movies.
He did a run on Spider-Man that lots of people fucking hate. And I really kind of enjoyed because he created Ezekiel, which was cool. And the Totem Wars.
The Totem Wars was interesting. The thing that everyone really hated was the original Sin arc or whatever with Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn.
Yeah, that was gross.
And when they finally did The Other, which I don't think he was too keen on.
I actually like The Other, and I like Moreland. The creation of Moreland was cool.
He was also there when Quesada made him undo the spider marriage, and I think he's gone on record as saying he never wanted to undo the spider marriage. That was an editorial mandate. Which
he was just there when it happened.
Yeah. But JMS, he's an incredibly talented writer. I mean, and this was how I first got to learn who JMS was, and this was 1994, I want to say. So I was 10 years old. I remember watching this show with my dad when we lived in Colorado. And then my dad had to go to Naval War College for a year and came back, and he and his buddy had recorded every episode of Babylon 5 when they aired it on TNT. So he brought the tapes back with him once he got back from that TDY so that we could watch them in our VCR and rewatch everything because I'd kind of fallen off when we moved overseas. So that's how I finished watching them, is on my dad's VHS copies of Babylon 5, which I think are still sitting in a box in their basement, even though he and I both own the entire box set on DVD.
Nice.
But that's what I've been getting into.
I still remember it coming out. Yeah, that show was a huge deal when it hit TV. Yeah. Like, it was crazy.
Well, and some people, if you believe the conspiracy theories, say Deep Space Nine happened because of Babylon 5, because JMS pitched it to Paramount first. Paramount turned it down. Then 6 months later, after they'd read his show Bible and all the characters and stuff, said, hey, here's our new Star Trek set on a space station.
There you go.
And everyone
sounds about right.
Everyone's like, the fuck? What just happened
Sounds
here?
about right for a studio.
Well, that's why I've been getting into. Willie's still waking up. Why don't you tell us what you've been getting into, Bachman?
I got my first Harvey Pekar book. I ordered The Quitter the other day on Amazon and been reading that. It's about 40 pages in. It's definitely got some good artwork to it. It's a weird writing style. I've never actually read a Harvey Pekar book before. He's for those who don't know, he's the guy that did American Splendor. He's one of the biggest names in independent comics. And yeah, it's the first Harvey Pekar book I heard about and was really interested in. So got that and been giving that a shot. I been playing a bunch of Apex and Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight's having their season or their 4th anniversary event where half the shit doesn't work. The cakes are fucked up. The crowns are broken. Yeah, big shock. DVD had an update, added a bunch of stuff, and they broke a bunch of stuff. So surprising. But yeah, I've been playing a bunch of that, which has actually been fun. Getting the crowns and running around some of the matches as a killer has been enjoyable. And then playing Apex, the new changes for the updates for the Crypto Town takeover, changes to the map, and then they did there's an event that they've done I think this is the 3rd time, called Armed and Dangerous, and this time they did Armed and Dangerous Evolved. So Armed and Dangerous is shotguns and sniper rifles. So there's no assault rifles, no LMGs, it's just shotguns and sniper rifles. So it's either long distance or real close, nothing in between. And then this time they added in the Evo armor. So everybody you drop out of all the ships with a Mozambique, which is a shotgun pistol, and then Evo armor. So as soon as you hit the ground, you can start fighting, which I think makes it for a much, much more fun version of the game, because you're not hitting the ground hoping for RNG that when you open the first bin, you'll get a gun or armor. You already have a gun. You already have armor. You can fight from the get-go. And so then it's just a question of upgrading to better guns, but being able to fight right at the beginning, I think, makes it a much more fun game. So I'm playing a ton of Armed and Dangerous Evolved because it's just a fucking blast. And then, yeah, they put in the new heirloom for Mirage, which is hilarious. They did the new updates for, sadly, my girl Lifeline lost her combat mech ability, so she can't speed heal anymore, which sucks. But she can now res by dropping Doc above people and keep fighting. She doesn't have to sit there, hook Doc into them, and she used to res faster with a shield, but she still had to be part of the cut screen. Now, literally, Lifeline runs up to you. You hit the button to do the revive, and instead of your character going down and doing the revive, she just drops Doc and walks away. And so you can revive your teammates as you keep fighting, which is awesome in the game because nobody else can do that. And there's also no cooldown timer on it. So I've literally seen videos now where 3 people will be fighting, one teammate goes down, the Lifeline goes over, drops Doc, keeps shooting the other people, the other teammate goes down, Lifeline goes over, drops Doc, keep shooting the other people, and they're just switching back and forth, rezzing their 2 teammates over and over and over again in a fight. And basically, if you can't get to the team to kill them, Lifeline's just going to keep rezzing everybody. And it makes it a fucking pain in the ass to fucking finish off a team. And so, yeah, a lot of teams are running Lifelines right now, and it's awesome to see because she had dropped out of the meta. None of the pros were using her. And I think, when the next pro season starts, this is going to make a huge difference to actually how often she gets played in the game. That and the skin they gave her for the event is fucking cool looking. So yeah, I've been playing a bunch of that, and then last night my hand's been killing me again, so I didn't want to play anything. I just decided to watch a couple of movies, and as I turned on my, I had bought Mandy on YouTube. I was like, I'm gonna go watch that. I was like, I'm not sure I'm ready for that craziness yet. Let me go see what's on. So I opened up my the PlayStation where you have all the little fucking windows, and they had the ad up for My Spy being available on Amazon Prime. I'm like, oh, cool, the Dave Bautista one where the little kid blackmails him. I'm like, okay, I'll watch that with dinner. I'll watch something enjoyable, kind of happy first, and then I'll be ready to sit and concentrate and watch Mandy. Well, so I open up Amazon Prime, and they've got the fucking screen, boom, brand new movies to Amazon Prime. And there's 6 movies on this list that I'd wanted to see. I was like, oh shit, let me see what's on here. Add it to the watch list. Went through a bunch of them, and the 6th film over, I realized is Child's Play. I was like, oh fuck, I got it. I have Amazon Prime. I can watch it for free.
The new Child's Play.
Yeah, the 2019 Child's Play.
Now I understand the reference from earlier.
Yes, I fucking love Child's Play. Charles Lee Ray, demon possessing a toy, who then goes on a killing spree.
Demon.
Well, I mean, he uses fucking occult magic to make himself basically a demon inside of a doll.
Well, he has himself as a human.
he is a serial killer, but in the doll, he basically has superpowers because he's
I'll
super
give you
strong. Yeah, like all sorts of craziness. They were batshit crazy movies when they came out, fucking in like the late 80s, early 90s. They ended up making like 9 of them. The Child's Play movies are insane. Brad Dourif as the original killer who becomes Chucky has done some of the best voice work in the history of films doing the Child's Play movie because they're hilariously ridiculous. Like, it's a doll that murders people. It's supposed to be outrageous. There was some good things going into the new Child's Play. You got fucking
Aubrey Plaza.
You got Aubrey Plaza. You got fucking Don Mancini based on his screenplay. You got fucking Tim Matheson in it as the guy who runs the Caslin Company, which is basically their version of Google. So in this version, they made it to where basically Caslin Corporation has Caslin cars and Caslin TVs and Caslin home theater, and it's fucking Google.
Everything's connected.
Everything's connected, and the whole point of the Buddy doll is that it can run all of your shit. And so if you tell your buddy that you want to watch TV, he points his glowing ET finger and lights up and turns on your television, which the glowing finger shit is just creepy. But yeah, so you've got Aubrey Plaza as the mom, which is kind of awesome. You got fucking Paperboy playing Detective Mike, which was cool. The kid in it is actually really good. Paperboy is from Atlanta.
He was a Paperboy in Atlanta?
No, he's
Georgia?
a rapper named Paperboy.
Oh, I never looked at the credits.
Yeah, Detective Mike is a rapper.
He's all right
on Atlanta.
Good.
He's great. He's great in this. Yeah, Gabriel Bateman, the kid who plays Andy, he does a good job. The other kids that are in it, because there's other kids that he runs into in the Chicago neighborhood they moved to, are really good. And yeah, it's the voice talent. They brought in Mark Hamill to do the voice of Chucky, and so there's some good ideas. There's a great cast of characters and a story that completely falls apart from the opening scene. This movie doesn't even make sense in the world of Child's Play. There's absolutely no reason for this doll to hurt anybody. They don't explain at all any reason for it to be evil. And apparently, supposedly, previously homeless person in the Vietnam warehouse that's putting the chips in the dolls gets yelled at by his boss. And so he instantly becomes a genius programmer and turns off the safety protocols. Okay.
One of them is literally the violence.
Yeah. Why would there be violence protocols? Because the only way you would have those is if you would program the doll to do violence. Turning off the protocols doesn't make the doll violent. Turning off the language protocols, okay, it can cuss. That part makes sense. Unless you program the doll to be ultra violent, there's nothing that turning off those protocols would do. There's no possession. There's no fucking serial killer. There's nobody in the doll. The fucking doll asks him what he should be called. He says Han Solo. The doll says Chucky. My name's Chucky. For absolutely no reason. There is no reason at all that the doll wants to be called Chucky. It is the biggest failure of a rehash I've ever seen, because a possessed fucking voodoo doll might still have the strength of an ordinary man that's a fucking crazed serial killer. That kind of makes sense. It's magic. He put a fucking voodoo spell and he transferred his soul into the doll in the original. It's fucking weird, but at least there's some fucking rhyme or reason. There is no reason whatsoever that this 2 foot tall, 6 pound of plastic would be able to even stab somebody with enough force to do any damage, much less turn on a rototiller and fucking mow somebody down. Like,
it's he pretty much turns into Ultron.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. Like, they utterly failed at giving you any reason why the doll would do what it would do, and then how it could do what it would do. Like, I was so fucking disappointed in this movie because Aubrey Plaza's great in it. The kid playing Andy is great in it. Like, they had good casting. Mark Hamill doing the lines is fucking creepy as hell. There's scenes where Andy's trying to make the doll creepy, and like Mark Hamill's making these weird noises, and the puppeteers are making these weird faces, and like it's super creepy. But yeah, like there's no reason for the name Chucky. There's no reason for any violence to be committed whatsoever in the film. And even if it was committed, it's committed by 6 pounds of plastic that has no strength and literally could not hurt anybody. It is the dumbest, poorly written remake of any film I've seen in 20 years.
Mhm.
Like, it's so fucking disappointing. Because when they said Mark Hamill was going to be involved, Brad Dourif and the other guy who created the Chucky thing are off doing a TV series. Apparently, that's why they weren't involved in this movie. And I was like, okay, well, that kind of sucks, because if they're doing that and they're not involved in this, then that was kind of disappointing to me. I was like, but they got Mark Hamill in it. Usually Mark's in great stuff. The voice lines are funny, but the movie itself is a giant fucking disappointment.
Usually in great stuff. Wasn't he also in the Christmas special?
That wasn't his fault.
I didn't say it was his fault, but he was in it. And I do want to state, me and Bachman both separately decided to watch this movie, surprisingly, because we got together last night, and he mentioned something about watching. I was like, oh wait, I watched that today too. What are the odds? Yeah, because I saw it was on Hulu. It was streaming on Hulu as well. So I was like, and that's why I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll give it a watch. And then my whole thing, I remember I was looking at my phone during it. I remember I paused it. I was like, how much is left of this movie? Oh, there's 30 minutes. I guess I can power through it. I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of it. It's that kind of movie.
Yeah,
it's worth enough to pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's background noise. Like, there's a couple of okay scenes,
good.
but yeah, like, there's a reason the original Child's Play became a cult classic and fucking it had 7 sequels. This movie will not have a sequel. Like, it's done. It's like that fucking crappy Platinum Dunes fucking Friday the 13th, just like the crappy Platinum Dunes fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. It's people trying to rehash a story and not having a fucking clue what made the original great. And so it's someone else saying, oh no, my idea is better than the guy who made something that spawned 15 fucking sequels. So I must know what I'm doing. And every time they fail.
You want to watch a better version of that movie? Go watch Small Soldiers.
Yes.
There you go. Talking about better versions of movies. After that, and I finished dinner, I sat down and watched Mandy. And I was also highly fucking disappointed in this movie. I remember the better version of this movie. You know what the better of this movie is called? The Road Warrior. Yeah.
Now, I did want to talk to you about it. I warned you about the first half, right?
This is 2-hour movie that is fucking 90 minutes of bullshit and 15 minutes of The Road Warrior. Like, it's fucking ridiculous Nick Cage crap. The director, the writer, Panos Cosmatos, it's his drugged out LSD fucking version of The Road Warrior. Yeah, the bikers are cool. The fucking murder scenes are cool. Once you get to the murder scenes, they're cool. The entire first hour could be cut out of this film and it would make no difference whatsoever.
Well,
the first hour of this movie is the introduction to every 70s blaxploitation violence film, every Death Wish film, all of those, except it's that first 15 minutes of those movies stretched out to a fucking hour for no reason whatsoever.
And done very art housey, right?
Yeah, it's just they threw a bunch of shit to try to make it look pretty. They threw in fucking cartoons. You could cut 90 minutes out of this and make an awesomely violent 45-minute film.
But once you get to that bathroom scene, that's when like, okay, we're getting Crazy Cage. We're getting Crazy Cage now.
Yeah, there's some Crazy Cage in it. There's Crazy Cage and Tidy Whities, which is some of the weirdest shit ever. There's
bathroom scene.
There's random jumps in the storyline and technical issues that I can't believe somebody fucking editing this film didn't see. Oh, that's right. Nobody edited this fucking film. This is a 45-minute action film stretched out to 2 hours for no reason other than somebody had too much money and too much fucking time. I'm just as disappointed in this movie as I am in Child's Play. The difference is I will probably rewatch Mandy at some point, but I'm going to fast forward through that first fucking hour because it's a waste of goddamn time.
I mean, I get what they were going for. Yeah. It's not for me. It's very it's like an art house. It's a thick art house movie. Until
his wife laughs at Dad's tiny dick, nothing happens. Which, and it was creeping me out. I couldn't figure out who the fucking cult leader was. I had to look it up on IMDb. I'm like, oh my God, it's Bruce Wayne's dad. And when I realized it was Thomas Wayne from the Christopher Nolan films, it made the whole rest of the movie even funnier. Because Bruce Wayne's dad runs a cult and he's fucking crazy.
Oh
yeah,
my god, yeah.
I've seen, you talk about seeing the better version of a movie. If you want to see the better version of Mandy, go watch the original Road Warrior. I know Mad Max, fucking Mel Gibson is problematic, but that first movie is still one of the greatest revenge films of all time. And honestly, the entire Road Warrior movie takes place in a shorter time span than the first hour, which I'm pretty sure the first hour of Mandy took me 8 hours to watch because it's that fucking slow.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
God, there's so much slow, ridiculous, pointless bullshit before the actual fucking movie starts.
For me, I thought the second half was worth it though. That crazy cage, that full crazy cage was worth it.
It is 6 fucking buckets full of crazy cage. It is the weirdest. I'm gonna make a weapon and do it in ways that don't make any sense whatsoever. I'm pouring it in chrome, but then somehow hitting it with a hammer and then one grinder and it's instantly done. Like, it's the weirdest fucking weapon making sequence I've ever seen in a film where, like, nobody anywhere talked to anybody about how you would actually make a fucking giant chrome axe and then figured, put some of that information in the scene. No. Just pour chrome into a thing and then it's axe. That's how it happens.
The chainsaw scene.
The chainsaw is ridiculous. The fucking all the murder shit in it is great, awesome shit. But honestly, you can skip the first hour of the movie and just ignore it. It's pointless. It's worthless. It's someone fucking with their head up their ass trying to be as art schooly as possible. But then after that, it does get good. There is good stuff in it. It is worth watching. But goddamn, prepare yourself for a fucking dredge to get through the first hour.
I tried to warn you, didn't I?
Yeah, like, well, you said art house, but God,
that is an heavy art house styling. That's what that is.
Yeah, this is ridiculously plotted art house bullshit.
Like, it's even worse like how art housey is than Mother was.
Yeah, I mean, at least that movie, this is worse than Mother. So yeah, that should tell you plenty. But yeah, in the long run, I am glad I finally saw it because Mandy is a crazy ass fucking movie. There's some good shit in it. But yeah, there's also some fucking just pull out all the cartoon sequences. What the fuck were those?
I don't even remember those.
Waste of time.
I own the movie on Blu-ray.
It's just somebody that fucking watched Heavy Metal too many times. They're like, oh no, we need to have a sequence that's animated. Why? Because we need to have a sequence that's animated. Because there's no reason for it.
Metal?
We're not talking about Heavy Metal 2000 now.
No, Heavy Metal's great, but this is someone that saw that too many times and wanted an animation sequence just because they like the movie Heavy Metal, not because it actually helps their film. But yeah, that's what I'm getting into. Crazy ass fucking movies. So when we leave here, I'm going to go fire up some pizza and I'm going to go watch My Spy because I love Dave Bautista and I actually just bought Stuber and The Fantasy Island by Blumhouse. Fantasy Island was actually a lot better than I thought. I went in with low expectations. It's some good shit, and Michael Pena is always good. You can't go wrong with Michael Pena. There's some weird bullshit in it, but it actually was entertaining. But yeah, I watched Stuber, and that shit was hilarious. So yeah, I'm ready for some more Dave Bautista. I love me some Dave Bautista.
I thought the Mr. Magoo type humor was, that's just me.
Yeah, I thought he pulled it off pretty good for a fucking wrestler.
He was just always angry, and if Mr. Magoo was just like in roid rage.
Yeah, that's a blind Dave Bautista. There you go, roid rage, Mr. Magoo. I'm for it.
I like Dave Bautista. I think he's a funny dude, and I enjoy most of the stuff I've seen.
Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah, and Kumail's amazing in it.
Oh yeah.
If you get the chance, you should go. And I'm not going to talk the politics of why he makes this. Go watch the video Dave Bautista put of him hyping himself up to drink a cup of water, and then his celebration of drinking a cup of water, and it is absolutely hilarious as he goes.
A lot of the videos he's been putting up on his Instagram are pretty fucking good. Yeah,
my water. So
Dave Bautista's awesome.
So Willie, what you mean? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you guys watch any of the action films he first made when he left the WWE?
No.
Are you talking about the Man with the Iron Fist?
I mean, that one he wasn't bad in that because he didn't really have any lines.
But I mean, the movie was good.
Yeah, he did like an action film with Rob Van Dam that was god awful. If you go watch
Double Team.
It was on level. It was on par with Dope. It was that bad. But yeah, if you go watch any of those first like 2 or 3 films he made, and then watch the stuff he's doing now, like that Hotel Artemis with fucking Jodie Foster, he's amazing in that. It's great to see like him with a good script and a good director. Dave Bautista can do amazing acting, and it's awesome to see. Because like I mean, James Gunn showed us in the Guardians movies with the right character, the right script, the right director. Fucking Bautista can act his ass off.
You're
So,
not
yeah,
wrong.
it's fun to see. So yeah, I'm excited to see. Yeah, I will watch that spy movie because yeah, seeing him with a little kid that's blackmailing him just looks hilarious. It looks like some good Disney level fun stuff.
Oh, you said Hotel Artemis. I thought you were talking about
Yeah.
Artemis Fowl, which is
No,
on
Hotel
Disney
Artemis.
Plus.
I did watch Artemis Fowl. That actually wasn't bad either.
I heard terrible things about it, but I don't know
I've heard
anything about the story.
terrible things about it.
I went into it knowing exactly nothing, that it was
Same
a kids movie on Disney, and I was like, oh, this was kind of entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know
Judi
anything
Dench
about
is
the book.
Judi Dench is a badass fairy. Like, that was kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, it's no Harry Potter, but I was entertained for 2 hours. I'll give him that. Yeah, I went in with no expectation, so I enjoyed it. And yeah, if you have Disney Plus, you can watch it for free. So
It's true.
yeah, it's worth watching.
Lower expectations.
That's right. It helps.
Is that
So what have you
kind
been getting into, Willie?
Well, I already mentioned The Child's Play, which is weird that we both decided to watch it.
As it
What time did you start watching yours? I think I started watching mine around 2 or 3, which would have been 12 or 1 your time.
Oh, no, I watched mine at it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock last night when I started that.
Also, it was so you just got done with it when I started texting you,
Yeah.
or somewhere around there.
Yeah, I had just finished that and was getting ready to start Mandy.
Yeah, I've been also playing some Dead by Daylight, and I've spent so many blood points in the blood webs and I still have yet to see the new flashlight or the new med kit in any of my blood webs.
Yeah, which your PlayStation hates you because my Claudette already has like 9 of the flashlights, and they're all from the new blood web.
I haven't got one. And my Dwight is respected 3 times, so it's always should get like better quality stuff. It's supposed to. It's how it's supposed to work. But I've gotten none of them. And I also went to do a little bit of Jeff last night too, because I wanted to get the halo for Jeff to make him look like Jesus.
Old Hef Hansen.
Yep. So I got it last night.
Nice, you got your Jesus, Jeff.
Mm-hmm. But also, I didn't get any of those items in the blood webs, and I'm wondering, is there something like on their side, on their server, about whatever my name is, that's just stopping my blood web from doing the
It
correct
could be.
thing?
I mean, they've said the gâteaux are still fucked up on everybody's accounts.
Well, I still get the cakes, the cake slices.
Well, no, getting them is fine. They don't work.
Oh, I know. Oh,
Yeah.
they act like escape cakes and not bloody party streamers.
Yeah. They're not doing what they're supposed to do.
God, so many people are still using them last night. Seriously, I was the only person who put on a Murky Region. Everyone else put on those. It's like, you're just wasting your stuff. I mean, not really wasting, but I mean, you're not going to see the pointage. And I wonder if they think it's working. They just don't know. They're not paying attention, I'm guessing.
Well, because two different things were put out that when they were working, they were giving 140% bonus instead of 104. But then if you use multiple ones, none of them work. They counteract each other and turn each other off, basically. Yeah, so there's different information on Twitter about the bugs that were happening with Dead by Daylight, which was causing a lot of problems, I think, as well.
Yeah, and it took me a while to get that crown for Jeff, because there was a lot of sweaty killers last night.
Yeah, I did get some 4Ks yesterday.
But other than that, yeah, watched that movie. My buddy came over Thursday. We watched because I love showing this movie to people, because my entire thing, I will always say to it, it's better than it has any right of being. And you've heard me say that about a movie. Do you remember what movie it is?
Mm-mm.
No.
Baywatch.
Yes, I remember that.
Better than it has any right to be.
That's not saying much. I went into that with probably the lowest expectations in the history of the world.
And I thought it was great.
It's good.
It was great. Just tell me if you find a hole there. You want me to touch his balls? Just Oscar from The Office's dick just hanging out on the autopsy table. And you got Zac Efron playing with him, just trying to move him around.
I'll tell you what they though. Zac Efron in Baywatch is fucking Richard Rider Nova. Like he could be Nova in the Marvel universe as Richard Rider, and all he has to do is play the character he played in Baywatch. It would be perfect.
That dumb.
Yeah.
Although it seemed like he was supposed to be two different characters. Like he's supposed to be the straight guy and the incredibly dumb guy, and they just merged them together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because he's supposed to be like the straight, like, wait, why are we doing this? It's like, oh yeah, because I'm dumb. Blah blah.
Yep.
Maybe do we have to go through the firewall? Well, it's not a physical thing. All right, so we go over the firewall.
We go under the firewall.
It's already done, dude. Yeah, but yeah, Baywatch is better than it has any right to be. If you watch it, you will not be disappointed. It's just a fun movie. The sad thing is they do have an extended version.
Oh no.
The only problem with the extended version is one of those Pauls is in it. I can't remember which one, Logan Paul or Jake Paul. They're both pieces of shit.
That's annoying.
But they're only in it for a short amount of time, and then they get made fun of in the movie. So it's all right, I guess. But you have to see them, so it's not all right. But they get made fun of, so it's okay.
Fuck those human Labradors.
But it means they got paid to be on there, which is annoying.
Yeah, but they're not in the theatrical version. And also, there is no nudity in any of the versions, which is weird.
Boo! No,
I mean, I'm all right with it. I'm completely okay with it. I mean, because first of all, it's just Baywatch. That's not the point of it. The point of it is like seeing the jiggling in the whole thing. But even though I don't even watch it for that, it's just fucking hilarious. Like when the movie's trying to get to the plot, that's when it's not as good. When they're doing all the jokes. Thomas Lennon had a hand in writing it. That should tell you something.
Alexandra Daddario. That's why it's worth watching.
Oh, yep. She has a scene where she's just jumping up like, oh, you're looking at him again. It's like, well, you're bouncing him up and down. What do you want? Yeah, but Thomas Lennon.
That woman is gorgeous. She's just head to toe gorgeous.
So that should tell you that it's written pretty, it's well done. Other than that, I did finish Last of Us Part 2. That ending took one of the 3 endings or 4 or 5 endings. The whole last segment too, like okay, we're just getting into this. That could be extended out, cause I kind of want to know. I'm not gonna have my words right talking about this game because I have to skirt around not spoiling things, and also not want to spoil anything, personally for someone else as well. It's a game. It deserves to be played. Just because the ending is dissatisfying doesn't mean the whole it as a whole is bad. Not at all. I'm not saying that at all. It's just an unsatisfying. Oh.
Endings are hard, man. Endings are hard.
Well, I don't think they did it wrong either. That's the thing. I don't think they did it the wrong way. So, I mean, it's just unsatisfying. It's not the wrong way to do things. It feels natural, especially that very last scene. Like, oh, that's what that means. Oh no. It's just kind of like that. It's like, yeah. Other than that, did I ever watch anything else? I don't think I did. I was watching lots of YouTube, man, playing some games.
Nothing wrong with the YouTube.
Yeah, I mean that's mostly my entertainment there. I found a new YouTube channel that I thought was been pretty entertaining called Audit the Audit. I guess he watches footage of police interactions, different police interactions, and he rates it at the end with the law.
Interesting.
This people gets a C- because they didn't follow this or this, and they're trying to say this or this, and then this person. He gets an A- because although he had a bad he instigated some things. Well, he does stuff like that where he gives you matter of factly. It's all not opinionated. It's it's because of this. He gives you the reasons, and it's not one side or the other is right or wrong. He doesn't not biased. That's what I like about it.
That's cool.
Audit the Audit. I would give that a shout out. And you know what? That deserves a whole segment. I'm not going to mention that in the last segment. So yeah.
All right then. Well, on that note, I think we are about to shut things down. But before we do, a friendly reminder, we stream this show live every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central over on Geeks.live, the official streaming home of the Gonna Geek Network. We are syndicated out on other sites like Twitch, Mixer, Periscope, YouTube, and there's one other I'm forgetting. But a friendly heads up for those of you who may be watching on Mixer right now, Microsoft is shutting that down in 30 days, basically. So if you are a Mixer viewer and want to continue watching, please come subscribe or join on one of those other sites, please.
Oh, Mixer didn't last?
Mixer will officially close its doors on the 27th of July, I believe it is.
Well, wait. If Mixer goes down, then what's going to happen to the Zune? The Microsoft Zune. I thought that was still running it, right?
I see what you did there. I just wasn't given the satisfaction of laughing at that one.
That's all right. I understand that fully. It wasn't that good.
Exactly. Before we shut this stream down, you guys have any final thoughts for anyone who's watching live or listening later? Any pearls of wisdom to share?
Well, I do, but it's shit we don't talk about on this show, so I'm going to just keep quiet.
Yeah.
Watch Baywatch. I will guarantee you that they have a fantastic time. It's better than it has any right to be.
You heard
Watch
it here.
Hotel Artemis.
There's suggestions on stuff to go see.
It's on Disney Plus. Artemis Fowl.
No, don't watch that.
he
That's
said.
horse shit.
Not what
Well,
I
fuck,
said.
we just said it wasn't that bad.
Actually, no, Artemis Fowl was okay.
Jesus,
That's
Chris.
cute.
Thanks for listening to this brand new episode of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. Don't forget, we'll be back next Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central over at live.atgnpodcast.com, channel 3 of the Alpha Geek Radio app, and over at our network home at gonnageek.com/live. If you have any feedback for the show, please contact us atgnpodcast@gonnageek.com, on our hotline number at 304-806-ATGN, or even better, go to Twitter and send us a message at ATGN Podcast. The music you've heard in this show is produced by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com.